What is up, Rad Potential YouTube, and welcome to today's video. Well, you might see, we got the rotary truck in the garage. And you might be thinking, well heck, that truck never breaks because it's the most reliable vehicle I own. Well, it pretty much is. Except, I've got this issue right now where, which it doesn't have a battery in it, but the starter ring gear has decided that it wanted to come off of the flywheel. And by that, I mean right here, oh, it's kind of on there. The ring gear, just the big gear that goes, oh yeah, definitely separated. Okay, yeah, getting confused. Alright, on your flywheel, there's a ring gear. On the ring gear, that's the thing that drives the starter. When you crank it over, so this right here, the big ring gear. So what happened to mine is this ring gear separated, it's press fit, which means it's not welded, there's no bolts, there's no set screws, there's no nothing. It's basically just sandwiched on there. So I have one over here that, hey, buddy, quit. I have one over here that had since been executed off of the flywheel, or exited, and you can see, kinda maybe, not really, because the camera can't go through it, but there's a taper on the inside edge, like a bevel. So instead of the inside edge being flat, it's tapered like this, so when you push it on, it like locks, I guess. But mine is definitely pulled back from the flywheel, and as you can see it, if this light turns on sick. Basically, if you look right down there, so see how there's a gap between the ring gear and the front of the flywheel? I'll do my best to point it out with text, but right down in that hole. So, what does that mean? That means when the starter is turning, it's not turning over the engine, therefore my truck cannot start. So I rescued a flywheel from the dark depths of Charles's backyard, and here it is. So this is an S4 in a flywheel in 326 is the number right there. Reason I have to have an S4 in a flywheel is because that's an S4 turbo 2 block, and I have the factory 4-speed in this truck, so I need the S4 flywheel to match the S4 block, and then I need the NA diameter because this is the NA diameter 4-speed, so that's why we have to have that in the truck. So I'm going to do not the world's most record fast flywheel swap, but it's going to be dang close because I'm going to pop this trans out, which is, I'll count them off, the amount of bolts. I got 4 bolts on the crossmember, 4 bolts on the drive shaft, 2 bolts on the drive shaft. This has a 2-piece, so the carrier, so that's 10. And then I don't think I have all my bell housing bolts in, so we're only looking at 5 bell housing bolts. The 2 bolts for the clutch slave cylinder, so that's 17. 3 bolts for the shifter, and 2 extra bolts for the starter. So we're looking at 17, 5, 22 bolts to take out. Drop this baby out. Then I got to take the clutch off, 6 bolts, and take the big nut off the flywheel, hit it with a hammer good once, and then repeat the process. So, what is that? 23, 6, 29, 30 bolts to get this thing back apart that I have to take off in varying sizes of 12, 13, 14, 54 millimeter, and that's it. Yeah, everything's pretty much 14, so let's get after it. Well guys, we've got the old transmission out now, and flywheel's off, the whole nine. It's pretty easy stuff, and she's busted up. It was just kind of loosely sitting on here whenever I popped it out. So that's it. Science. Slight update on the new flywheel. It's down here, all cleaned up. Looks fantastic from right here. It does have a broken bolt. Broke off in it. Yeah, because broken bolts are broken inside of stuff. Anyways, it's got a bolt broke off in it. So I'm just gonna run it with 5 bolts and it'll be fine. So I do think though, which Justin has my welder, no big deal, but if I'd have had my welder, I'd have probably just welded this back on. Just hit it with some welds. So, with that, now I get to put it all back together. It only took me about 35 minutes to get it all apart. So, at the demise of my dirty hands, because this truck gets driven, and it gets driven like in the dirt, in the field, and in the yard and stuff. It's crazy how far forward the motor sits. And it's dirty under there. And you know, it's a truck, it's got oil leaks, it's a rotary. Doesn't have oil under it, doesn't have oil in it. So at least that's how I live by over here. So my oil cooler's been cracked for a little while in this truck, so part of having a 50-year-old truck. But anyways, alright, let's just put this thing back together. Alrighty y'all, so the camera died while I was trying to film long stuff for time-lapsey things. About an hour past the last time I've spoken to you, and we're done. So, hour and a half, got the new flywheel in there, just basically buttoned it back up. Didn't lose too much transmission fluid, which is good. I don't have a battery in it currently because I have that battery in my Wrangler right now, the blue Jeep. So tomorrow morning I'll pop the battery out of that and put it back in here and fire this baby up, take it for a rip, and then we'll be pretty good for now. So let's go drive this thing. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are back, and how about that truck that's fired up? This is how you know that I didn't cheat and roll start it, is I'm only that far away from the shop. So I went for a little morning cruise in the Jeep with the dog, just cruised up and down the street, and then popped the battery in here, fired it up. So take it for a little rip here in a second, and see what all we can, see if we can break it. See if 5 bolts out of 6 on the flywheel is good enough to do a first gear burnout. That's the ultimate question, isn't it? So yesterday also, I dug all of this out. You see my wall bows out. So today, I'm gonna go to the store and get a big lag bolt with an eyelet on this side and another one, and I'm gonna anchor it to the shop. I'm gonna pull the wall back and tie it into the shop concrete wall. After I do that, we'll backfill this with rock, and I'll cut some relief holes in the wall so water can come out from behind it if it ever does get back here. And then we're going to concrete the top. So my wall will be straight and it'll be concrete, so I can put tires and stuff here. Water won't get in behind it anymore. And then we'll start on building the frame out for the roof. We got cars everywhere out here. got it. Woo-hoo. Thanks for watching.